Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Teachers Webinar, Skillsroad 101. Discover how Skillsroad can help your students make the best career decision. I'm Danielle Buckley, and I'm here to start to talk to you a little bit about Skillsroad and how you can use Skillsroad with your students. Before we begin the webinar today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and then invite you to participate in a poll. So even though this is a webinar and we have quite a large number of teachers on the line with us today, we would still encourage this to be interactive. And down the bottom left-hand side, you'll see a chat box. And I would really invite you to ask questions throughout the webinar. My colleague Julian here will be able to assist and will pause for questions and answers as we move through the different sections of this afternoon's presentation. A bit about me, my name's Danielle Buckley. I'm a coaching and consulting psychologist for Skillsroad and the Apprenticeship Centre. I've been working with them for about the last 8 years in the development of Skillsroad and a number of tools, resources, events, seminars, workshops, both to help employers, teachers and young people think differently about the way they approach work. I'm going to invite you now to start to think about Skillsroad and your relationship with Skillsroad. And if you can fill out the poll, who uses the tools on Skillsroad now? Yes, no, or unsure? So we have about 60% of you who don't use it, which is excellent because you're going to hear all about how you can use it and what's on offer this afternoon, and a few people that do use it. I'm going to continue on to the next poll now and just ask you, of those who do use Skillsroad, what do you use the most? The career quiz, the job fit test, the jobs board, some of our induction tools, or perhaps the coaching and mentoring resources that we have? So most people, it seems, use the career quiz. Some people use the job fit test. And we're going to introduce you to some of the less popular tools based on this poll this afternoon as well, but give you some more background and information on all of these tools and how you can use them, both at your school and also with your students. So before we dive into what we're going to start with today, I just want to go through what we're going to cover in this next sort of 50 minutes. I want to explore positive and coaching psychology with you and the role that it plays in the transition from school to work. I'm going to discover ways that you can help students find the right careers for them using the tools on Skillsroad. And we want to take you through the journey from using the career quiz to using the job fit test and then using some of the other tools on the website. I also want to introduce this idea of having coaching conversations with students and how you can use the tools to have these conversations. When we have been developing Skillsroad and when we think about careers in general now, we really want to invite students to think differently about careers. So we want to ask students not to think about what job they should have or mum and dad say they have to have, but instead we want to start to discover who are our students, what are they interested in, what are they motivated by, and start thinking about what careers might inspire them, what careers are they interested in, what careers play to their strengths. We know there's a lot of jobs for the future that have not yet even begun to become developed and out there, so we're thinking more about long-term and getting into the right industry. I want to discover how you can talk to parents about the importance of careers, and I've got a couple of classroom exercises that we can use in conjunction with the tools on Skillsroad. If anyone's got any questions, please write them in the box and we'll answer them as we go along. I just want to give you a bit of background to begin with. The tools, particularly the career quiz and the job fit test, have been developed from a coaching psychology and a positive psychology framework. Coaching psychology is a systematic application of behavioural science, which is focused on the enhancement of life experience, work performance and well-being for individuals, groups and organisations, with no clinically significant mental health issues or abnormal levels of distress. Positive psychology is a scientific study of strengths that enable individuals and communities to thrive. The field is founded on the belief that people want to lead meaningful and fulfilling lives, to cultivate what is best within themselves, and to enhance their experiences of love, work and play. And for those of you that are parents on the call today, I'd like you to think about what it is you want for your students, but as well as your children. If you could wake up and your child had grown into living a successful life, what is it that you want for them? What do you want for your students when they leave your school? What are you hoping that they'll have? And I want to introduce you to this idea of the goods life versus the good life. And this gives us some background into the way we're going to start thinking differently about careers. The goods life is a life where you can purchase happiness. Life is meaningful and people are happy and successful if they have money, possessions, and the right image. When we have this view of ascribing to the goods life, we typically work towards extrinsic goals. And this means we do things for controlled reasons, for reasons that people have told us we have to or we should do. So for example, students who go to school for controlled reasons and work towards extrinsic goals might work hard at school because their parents expect them to do well. Compare this to the good life. So a good life is when we live a life according to our core values. We pursue a life where we feel autonomy, so this means we feel in control of our life. We feel confident, so we feel good at what we're doing. And we have relatedness, so a really high level of positive relationships with the people in our lives. In addition to this, when we lead a good life, we play to our strengths. We have meaning, passion, and purpose. We work towards intrinsic goals. So students who go to school and they work hard at school because they love learning, or they work hard at school because their teachers inspire them and they're curious about the subjects that they've chosen. These are the students that will have high levels of well-being. These are the students that will excel in life, that will lead that good life. And I know I'm a parent of a son and a daughter, and when I think about what I want for my children out of life, I certainly want them to have a good life. A life where they do feel in control of their life, but have a job, career, whatever they do, they play to their strengths, they have meaning, they have passion, and they have purpose. What's really interesting is when we start thinking about careers with our young people who are transitioning from school into the workforce, sometimes we hear this incongruency between what parents aspire for their children to have, so a high level of well-being or happiness, and actually the way that they parent. So what pressures and boundaries they put on their children. And for those teachers on the line who are also career counsellors and play a role in guiding young people into the workforce, I want you to start thinking about whether you're hearing students trying to pursue a career because of extrinsic goals or extrinsic reasons compared to intrinsic. So for example, people who are pursuing careers for extrinsic reasons have career goals whereas they want a job that pays well. They want this career because they want to own a big house. They want to have expensive possessions. They want to do what their parents tell them to do. They want to be successful. They want the right people to like them. People that have intrinsic goals are motivated to do things where they're going to follow their interests. They'll live a life according to their values. They'll express love for people that they care about. They'll have goals where they're going to strive to be the best I can rather than earn a certain amount of money. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking, well, this is all well and good, but a lot of students don't know what their values are. They don't know what their interests are. And this is some of the research that we've been finding with the young people when it comes to their transition into the workplace. And this is why Skillsroad is so important, because part of our responsibility is to help students understand who they are, provide psychodynamic and tools that are really invested in helping people understand what their strengths are, what their motivations are. Interestingly, coming back to mental health and well-being, we know that students who were more autonomous in reading showed greater conceptual understanding of the material than those that were controlled. People and students who focus on intrinsic motivations and intrinsic behaviours and goals have higher levels of well-being than those that do things for extrinsic reasons. Ryan and Decky in 91 found a positive relationship between children's autonomous motivation and learning measures of achievement. And this research has been consistent over the last 30 years. In 1989, it was found students whose motivation for school is controlled actually perform less well and have lower levels of well-being. And even more recently, it's been found that students with intrinsic motivation for learning perform better than those with extrinsic motivation. So when it comes to thinking about careers, we really want to understand what motivates students, what are they interested in, and how can we start careers and career journeys based on intrinsic goals. Again, coming back to the question, what do you want for your children and what do you want for your students? Most parents say to me that they want a high level of well-being. They want their children to be happy. But again, when we focus on extrinsic goals, so when we're pursuing and we're getting our children to do things because we think they should do them or we're telling them to do something, we see that personal well-being is diminished, low levels of vitality, there's high levels of depression and anxiety, lower quality of life, lower life satisfaction, less happiness, less positive emotions, there's more drug and alcohol use, and higher levels of narcissism. And I'm sure all of those who are teachers and parents on the call will agree that this is not the life that we would want for our children or for our students. So the tools that we've created on Skillsroad really aim to help understand and help students get some kind of understanding of who they are, their strengths, their values, their motivations, and their interests. And I want to talk to you today a little bit about the creation of these tools, why they matter, and start to uncover some of the research that's underpinned the development of them and how you can use them in the classroom. Before we do that, I just want to pause and ask whether there's any questions from the group.
Doesn't look like we've got any at the moment, but do remember, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, do feel free to just send them to us in the chat box on the corner, and we'll answer them throughout the presentation and towards the end.
Thank you. So before we go on to talking about the career quiz, which is the first tool we're going to talk about, I want to draw your attention to why this matters. And some of the work that we've been doing has been with employers particularly. So we've been running workshops for employers to really help them use these tools on Skillsroad as well, to invest in understanding who they want in the job, fine-tuning their recruitment practices and making sure that they put the right people in the job. For parents and students and teachers, we've also been trying to spread the word around positive education and help parents and teachers educate students and their children in making the best career choices they can make for them. Interestingly, from the Mission Australian Youth Survey last year, which surveyed about 22,000 young people, they found that parents were still the biggest influencer of post-school plans. And sadly, teachers were the people that influenced the least. So in our quest to help students make better and more informed career choices, we also need to educate parents with what is available for their students and for their children as they leave school. Other interesting information, the top values of young people that were found in this survey are friendships, family relationships, and school and study satisfaction. And their biggest worries are coping with stress, school and study problems, and body image. Equally, their biggest national worries were alcohol and drugs, equity and discrimination, and mental health. 1 in 4 young Australians currently have a mental health condition, and suicide has been the biggest killer of young Australians and account for more deaths than young people in car accidents. Now, just these statistics alone make me feel even more passionate about making sure our students make a successful transition into the workforce and can discover who it is they are and also what their interests and passions are. Because by understanding these things, we're setting ourselves up and our children up for a higher level of positive mental health. Interestingly enough as well, in the research, there's been a lot of research that looks at the completion rate. So for kids who decide to leave school and go down the apprenticeships path, we know that there's been roughly about a 50% completion rate over the last few years. So that means less than 50% of the kids who start an apprenticeship actually complete it. And when we've dug deeper, and there's been a lot of papers on this, both from government bodies, PhDs, industry research, low retention rate and kids have left apprenticeships mainly because of interpersonal reasons, so not getting along with a boss, a supervisor or co-worker, but also not liking the work and changing careers. For employers, we've been telling them, and the research has found that on average, for every person that starts in their business and then leaves before completing their apprenticeship, it costs the business anywhere between 1 and 5 times that employee's salary. So not only is leaving work early bad for the individual, but it's also bad for business. So we want to get employers to start thinking differently about how they recruit young people, thinking about what they want out of a young person, but also a lot of the work we've been doing is helping employees make their place of work a great place to work. So teaching employers that it's important to invest in relationships, It's important to show a level of care, kindness and empathy with young people when they come into the workforce, and of course offering them coaching and mentoring when they enter the workforce as well. Before I head into the tools section, I'm going to turn to some of the questions that we've come through.
Thank you. We've just got a question from Leslie W, and she's wondering, when you refer to apprenticeships, are you also including traineeships in the statistics? Great question.
That is a very good question. For this completion rate, no, that is only to do with apprenticeships. That is a good question. The traineeship completion rate is different. Moving on to the career quiz. The resources I'm going to share with you today are the career quiz, the job fit test, the jobs board, and then I want to talk to you about a coaching approach to careers for the parents and the teachers that are on the call today. With the career quiz, I believe this is slightly out of date now because people are using this so often. But as of last month, we had almost 70,000 young people had completed the career quiz around Australia. With the job fit test, we have close to 17,000 who have completed the job fit test. And with the jobs board, which is our newest feature, and I'll go through the jobs board today, but this is a fantastic tool for young people leaving school and also for employers to post jobs at entry-level position, traineeships and apprenticeships. Since the job board has launched, there's been 80,000 registrations for students and job seekers, and we've had 12,000 job applications made through this website. We have about 130,000 members on Skillsroad at the moment. Most of those are students and job seekers. So everything that we develop has been really geared to this population. For teachers on the call today, I would really encourage you as I move through these tools, if there's areas of development, if there's feedback you've got from us, please let us know. Because this is a community initiative, it's funded by the government, part of the New South Wales Business Chamber and the broader chambers across Australia, we really want to make this for the students, for the job seekers. We want to give access to employers and we want to make this the best tool that people can possibly have. So please, we need to be informed by you, so don't hesitate in giving us feedback. So the first tool I want to take you through is called the Career Quiz. The Career Quiz really is about understanding students' motivational style. So it's not just a personality quiz, and we know that we're more likely to succeed in a role if we do things for intrinsic reasons, as I pointed out before. And if you sort of imagine the reasons why you do things, or the motivation of why you do things on a big sliding scale, and at one side you have extrinsic motivation, you're doing something because somebody told you that you have to. And then you move down that scale to you doing things for your should reasons. You're doing things because somebody or a parent said you should do it. It's still controlled reasons. It's still extrinsic reasons for doing something. If you move further down that scale and start getting into autonomous reasons, you might do something because you think you need to, or you might do something because you're really interested in it and you really want to do it. The Skillsroad Career Quiz has been developed to understand people's motivational style. So what we've done is we've used Elias Porter's relationship awareness theory, and we've looked at 4 different motivational styles, 4 reasons why people might do things. So the first motivational style is what we call the driver. A driver is somebody who's motivated by results. They're the person who's in a meeting, and if you think about your staff room at the moment for the teachers on the call, they're the people who go into a meeting and they just want to get results. They're motivated by getting things done. You've also got a motivational style called a carer. A carer is somebody who's motivated by relationships. They're the person in the meeting that cares about what other people are thinking. When a decision's been made, they're the ones that's going to ask about how everyone's feeling about the outcome that's been reached. Then you've got the analyst. So the analyst is someone who's technically minded. They're the person that wants a decision made, but only when it's made precisely. All the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and everything's done clearly. Then you've got the adapter. The adapter is a combination of all the other styles. As kids complete this career quiz, and it takes about 10 minutes for them to sign up and answer the questions are all scenario-based questions. Then at the conclusion of completing the questions, they find out what their motivational style is. Following this, they get a whole list of possible roles that might suit that motivational style. Now, because we know about 50% of kids' biggest stress and worry about leaving school is not knowing what they want to do, this really is just designed to provide a springboard to start thinking about what might suit their motivational style. And again, we might have a young person complete this who is interested in being an accountant, but when they get their motivational style back, they find out that they're a carer. Now, this does not mean that they're not going to suit being an accountant, but it provides them some information about what their motivational style is, how they're likely to behave in the workforce to start then informing what career choices they might possibly explore. Equally for employers, we're encouraging employers to use this as a recruitment tool. And again, it doesn't need to be a black and white piece where we're saying someone is suited to this and absolutely not suited to this. But again, give some information, some understanding, some context as a discussion point to help kids start thinking differently about what might be intrinsically motivating for them. I've seen lots and lots of questions come through, so I'll turn to Julian to ask some of the questions that have come through. Yes, so in the coaching tools section, we have got a series of guidelines and things in that section. What you may not be aware of also is that for the last 3 years, we have been running workshops across Australia purely focusing on that, where employers can come along and they learn how to coach and mentor young people in the workforce. Because while people can be very quick to judge work ethic, and judge young people entering the workforce, we really believe that everybody plays an equal role in making sure that transition from school to work is successful. So we do have some resources on that. We'll touch on that later. But keep an eye on our website because we will be doing seminars probably near you. And if you see that, contact your local consultant and we can make sure any employees you're aware of are made aware of these workshops so that they can attend. So the next tool that we're going to talk about is the job fit test. So the job fit test is a continuation of the career quiz. So after completing the career quiz, the students will receive a whole series of possible roles that might suit them. Then what we've done is created the job fit test where students can log on and they can enter up to 5 roles in one go and they get a percentage score about their suitability to that role. And what I want to make clear is this is not about talent. This is not about just past experience. But the job fit test assesses a suitability based on interests, motivation, strengths, all the positive psychology stuff that we're talking about because we know people will be most successful in their role only if it plays to their strengths, they're motivated and interested by that role. So they get a percentage score, and the best part about this is, say for example, somebody appears to be 20% suitable to becoming an electrician. There's then a whole series of development points that that student can then go away and invest in to increase their suitability up to 100%. So yesterday we were at a school and we had one young guy complete this test exactly and put in farming and he scored 100%. But then he put in a few other roles and only scored 20 or 30%. But again, got the development points and was then able to put a plan of action in place to go and work on things to increase his suitability to those roles. Now, why this is great is because it's informative for students, but it's equally fantastic for employers and teachers and parents. Because if we're getting young people to complete this, a lot of the feedback that we get from teachers, from employees and students, particularly when students do work experience, is sometimes a lack of understanding of what that job actually involves. So this really breaks it down into what is required on the job and matches their suitability to that. There's been some great questions come through with regard to this, and a point to note is that for teachers on the course, students can complete these tests on their mobile phone. So it doesn't just need to be completed on a laptop or a tablet. They're all mobile phone friendly, so they can be completed there.
Yeah, just to jump in on that point, in terms of the statistics that we've actually noticed on the Skillsroad website, interestingly, and I guess probably not surprisingly these days, is over 50% of the kids who are actually completing the job fit test are actually coming from mobile phones. So just bearing that in mind when you're getting students to engage with some of these tools, they are completely mobile friendly. They're very, very quick and simple to do on their mobile phones. It takes about 5 minutes and it's really completely mobile friendly. So when you're, I guess, getting students to complete the test, do bear in mind that their mobile phones are a viable source to, I guess, complete that test.
That's right, and when you create a profile and when you complete the test, you can continuously go back and update this. So it's not once you've done it, it's gone. You can go back, and students can go back once they've been working on these things. We've been getting employers to use this as well, and then even if a student is only 20 or 30% suitable to a job, using these development points to then become the first 12-month development and coaching and mentoring program for students when they transition into a traineeship or an apprenticeship. For your interests, the top job fit careers that people have been assessing their suitability for are electrician, journalist, police officer, psychologist, carpenter, and photographer. There's a lot of roles that we've recognised that we need to update. We're particularly focused now on having the jobs for the future in there. So again, give us feedback if there's industries or roles that when you complete this are not in the job fit test, please email us and let us know so we can incorporate them because we really want this to be as fit for purpose as possible. Are there any other questions with using the jobs fit test before we move on to the jobs board?
There aren't too many that I can see right now, but do remember if you have any questions, do feel free to send them through as we go out through the presentation and we'll answer them as they come.
And the job fit test, just to clarify, is both suitable for traineeship, apprenticeship roles, as well as white-collar industries and anything related to university courses. So we've had a question come in, is it just suitable for school leavers? And while it's on Skillsroad and designed for school leavers, absolutely not. Everybody can use it. And we've had a growing number of older people want to use it just purely to explore what they might be suitable for in a career transition. So with the jobs board is our newest tool on the website, and this is our newest tool on the website, and this is all about having entry-level apprenticeship and trainee positions available for young people. So we have a growing number of jobs being advertised. We've got over 200 jobs per month being posted by employers. We've had lots of questions about the jobs board, and yes, it is Australia-wide. We've had over 3,000 employers posted jobs so far on this website, and we're filling lots of jobs. We ran a webinar just an hour ago, and we had somebody say in one day they've posted a job and they've filled it. So it really is up to us to spread the word. And for teachers, one of the things I would really encourage with this is that if you have students who are looking for a traineeship or an apprenticeship, get them to log on to the jobs board and search this for jobs in your area. Amongst our consultants and our employees in the field, we're really trying to encourage all of our employers and all of our consultants when they hear of apprenticeships or traineeships going to advertise on the jobs board. And then our message to teachers is to get your students looking on there. It's free for people to advertise, and as we said, the Skillsroad website, we have over 130,000 members. So this really is a fantastic forum for you to get your students in the classroom just to apply for jobs and look for jobs on this website.
Thanks,
Are there any questions
Danielle. We've got one
about
question from Linda Kay, who's wondering, how do we screen employers, especially apprenticeship employers? So I might just quickly jump in with that one. We've got a dedicated team in our office who actually screens a lot of the jobs that come through. So we try to ensure that they're all of the highest caliber so that any sort of students who are looking to apply for these roles, they're getting sort of put in these sort of high quality roles. So we do have a team that's actively screening these positions as they come through. We've actually got another question from Paul. Does it have part-time jobs? The answer is yes. We do tend to get part-time jobs from time to time, but a lot of the jobs that we actually do get coming through, a majority of them are actually full-time apprenticeship or traineeship positions. We do tend to get other ones like retail roles, and there is a good variety of roles there for kids to apply for. There are some part-time, but like I said, a lot of them are actually full-time roles. We've got another question as well from John M. How do employers know how to post jobs on the jobs board? How do you advertise this to employers? So that's a great question. So basically what employers need to do is they basically need to go on the actual website, skillsroad.com.au, and what you do then is you create an account, and what we have is specific accounts for different user groups. So if you're an employer, you select employer as your user group, and then from there you pretty much set up your account. And once your account is set up, what you have on your dashboard is the ability to create a job. Now that's on your employer dashboard. So literally it's a case of setting up an account and then posting a job from your dashboard. It's really simple. And we get over 200 jobs posted a month. So it is quite simple, and a lot of employers are actively engaging with our jobs board.
But as you said, Julian, just to cut in, that all of those jobs that are uploaded are very heavily vetted by our team to ensure that they're it's
yeah,
safe,
definitely. We have a team that's actively screening them literally every day, multiple times a day. So we ensure that a lot of the jobs are vetted before we actually post them on our jobs board. And we've got another question from Aline. How do you market the jobs board to employers? So that's from Aline. How do you market the jobs board to employers? So that's a great question, and I guess we're sort of diving in behind the scenes in the marketing team. But as a marketing expert myself who works with the Skillsroad team, I can tell you that we market the jobs board quite heavily across our digital platforms. So that's everything from Google to Facebook and social, where we get quite a good response in terms of applications. And we also tap into other jobs boards to help, I guess, amplify our existing jobs that we've got. So we tap into other networks like Indeed, Adzuna, all those sort of popular jobs boards help us to get quality candidates. So that's some of the, I guess, key interesting ways that we promote the jobs board to employers. And that way we get more candidates, and in turn we get other employers signing up.
The other way that we promote to employers is from these sort of forums. So we've just run a webinar for employers to promote this, but also with you guys as teachers and as parents. If you know employers who want to hire people, please encourage them to use this. So we can do as much marketing as we possibly can, as Julian pointed out, but a lot of this is word of mouth and educating people. And Skillsroad really is the #1 career destination for young people in Australia. There is no other body that has this level of tools, this level of accessibility, and really these best practice evidence-based psychological tools, all combined with jobs board and tips for coaching and mentoring and induction for young people. So we really want Skillsroad to be a conversation, and we hope that us sharing some of this information on the jobs board will also prompt you to share to people you know who might be looking to advertise a job, but equally getting your students on there to engage with it and use it. And we've also been running some sessions for employers where we promote this, but also sessions for employers where we get employers to start thinking about how they advertise and what they advertise. So it's not just about saying to employers, right, you're looking for an apprentice plumber, advertise here. What's an apprentice plumber look like in your business? Are you looking for a young person who is great at working on their own? Are you looking at a young person who has a license? Do you want a young person who is willing to travel or just work in a local area? So this conversation about thinking differently with careers is happening in schools, but also at the employer level. Any more questions on the jobs board?
Not at the moment. We might push on just in terms of the time limits. We're getting quite a few questions, and what I might do is, where possible, I might try to respond to some of them via the chat myself. And if we think they're quite pertinent for the whole group to hear, we'll pause throughout the presentation and we'll read those out.
So the last part I want to talk to you, and we've spoken about this briefly already today, but this is taking a coaching approach to careers. And again, the workplace has really changed. It's a very different place to what it was 10, 20, 30, 40, and even 50 years ago. And I know particularly when I started work, and many of the tradespeople that we work with now, and they started work, and they came up through their apprenticeship, they went to work knowing that they would be told what to do. They were told to sweep the floors, they were told when they started, when they finished, and off they went. But actually we know now, and we've been blessed to have a huge body of research on what it means to be engaged. We know now that that is the quickest and easiest way for young people to become disengaged at work, particularly when they start their apprenticeship or traineeship. We also know globally, thanks to the Gallup surveys, that roughly only about 29% of people are engaged at work. This means they go to work and they feel committed and connected to what they do every day. And maybe you can think about your place of work. What percentage of people are engaged? We've got about 56% of people are disengaged. So that means they don't really like what they do and they simply show up to collect a paycheck. And then we've got about 16% who are actively disengaged. This means that they're out looking for other jobs and they're the people that act out their unhappiness. This is important because when it comes to coaching and mentoring in the workplace, we know that when employers simply spend 1 hour a week in regular meetings, coaching and investing in understanding, learning and caring about their young people, it doubles their engagement rate. So when it comes to employers, we've been talking a lot to employees about taking a coaching approach, talking to their young people about how they're doing at work. What are they finding interesting? What are they finding challenging? What are they learning at TAFE? But equally, we want parents and teachers to take a coaching approach to careers. So instead of offering up possible roles or jobs that young people can have, having those conversations about what people are interested in. What are their strengths? What are their passions? What are they curious about? Well, piece of advice that we always give young people when we're talking about careers, what of your parents' friends have jobs that you think might be interesting? What are you curious about? What excites you about those? So as teachers, some of the things that I want you to start thinking about is not just thinking about what job young people are having, but instead thinking about what industry might suit them. When we take a coaching approach to careers, some of the questions I'd encourage you to ask your students are, what are you interested in? Now, a great example is that if people want to get into the automotive industry, what do they do on the weekend? How do they enjoy cars? How do they look at cars? Do they use cars? Do they know how to change tyres? How do you enjoy spending your time? This is a great question to understand what might suit a young person. If you could do anything, what sort of career would you like? Who have you spoken to about your career? What do you enjoy doing? What are your strengths? What causes are important to you? There's a lot of research now that says that young people are most likely to choose one job over another if that company is aligned to their personal values. Equally, we know that young people are more likely to choose a career, one over the other, if there's opportunities for coaching and mentoring. That is one of the most important factors when it comes to young people at work. So what we're going to do is put together a series of lesson plans around how teachers can take a coaching approach to helping their students talk about careers. One of the things we would encourage you to do is some peer coaching as well. So getting your students to complete the career quiz, and instead of just continuously completing it, getting them to sit down in pairs or with yourself and coach each other on the findings that they had. Asking these questions with regard to each of the different careers that the career quiz has identified as something that could be of interest to them. And equally having these coaching conversations after completing the job fit test. This is also really important because again, only through these exploratory conversations are students going to start to understand what they're motivated by and what they're interested in. Equally, after completing the career quiz and the job fit test, we also have on Skillsroad a series of career videos, industry videos from hundreds of different industries and roles that give students a few minutes insight into a life in the day of. So what it means to work in these different roles. So if you've got students who are curious about different roles, get them to jump on the website and look at these individual industry videos. They're also really important. We've got a few questions come through. Julian?
Yep, this one's from Paul G. So Paul G is wondering, students are so young, and for many their values aren't really developed yet. Thoughts?
Yeah, that is such a great question, and this is why we're having these conversations. Absolutely. Many people, their values are not developed yet. Um, and so the career quiz and these coaching questions have really been designed to start that conversation. To start the conversation, this is why I showed you the positive and coaching psychology piece at the beginning and this difference between the good life and the goods life. Because as parents and teachers, we want to inspire young people to start thinking about their values, to think about what motivates them. Does the community motivate them? Does the environment motivate them? You know, when kids are starting to aspire to get jobs because of money, that's kind of a red flag for us because we know the amount of stress and the high levels of mental health issues that young kids are facing today is already concerning. Somewhere where we can create a big impact is starting to get kids to think about who they are, invest in being happy with who they are, discovering who they are, and having the confidence to find industries, careers, and further education that is aligned with their interests. We know that many of the kids who start secondary education and start apprenticeships, traineeships, even university courses now may end up in jobs that have not even been created yet. But we want to consider and get people to start thinking about and working towards things that they're interested in and talk to your parents about values. You know, it is a really complex topic, but something we can certainly start. I think in Australia as well, we've really seen Australia's leading the way in positive education. And that makes me really proud to be a psychologist, but also be an Australian. So I think schools have already started to talk a lot about strengths, but we want to continue that conversation in the transition into the workplace. Any other questions?
Remember, feel free to send any questions that you do have throughout the presentation, and we'll answer them as we go along.
We are almost coming to the conclusion of this presentation for today. I hope that we've given you some indication about what Skillsroad is and how you can use it. The career quiz, the job fit test, the jobs board, and taking this coaching approach to careers is something that we're really passionate about when it comes to working with young people. We are going to publish some lesson plans, as I said, on different ways you can take a coaching approach to the interpretation of the career quiz and of the job fit test, but also just simply in understanding interests, values and strengths of young people. If your students don't already use the Virtues in Action Strengths assessment, that is something I would encourage you to log online and do. That's a free tool and there's a youth version available. Otherwise, please look out for some of the lesson plans that we have coming your way. So where to from here? One of the things we really want to do is increase the retention rate of young people in employment. We have an astoundingly high youth unemployment rate at 13% right now, which is twice our national average. So we want to ensure that school leavers are choosing the right career path for them. We really want to make sure that we invest in giving young people the confidence and the competence to choose the career path that is right for them, that plays to their interests and their strengths, which is why I would encourage you to get your students to complete the career quiz and the job fit test, but also if you are a parent, get your children to start thinking about careers early. We do have a couple of questions come through that I'm going to work through just before we finish off. And the first one is, what are some examples of questions we can pose to parents when it comes to coaching their children? That's from Corey. I'm wondering what context you mean that in, whether it's with regard to thinking about careers or coaching their children in general. Maybe Corey can type a little bit more information.
Yeah, definitely. Corey, if you have any examples that you want us to specifically provide, feel free to leave us another comment and we'll get back to your question. Our second question is from Sandra W. Is there any advice for the coaching conversations when it comes to parents and students who are in conflict about their career pathway? So I guess if the classic example might be little Sally wants to be an artist and mum and dad want her to become an accountant. What can we, I guess, help those parents with in terms of that sort of conflict or struggle?
Yeah, and I think this struggle comes up all the time. I mean, certainly in our experience, this is what we've had occur, and we've had conversations with many parents about this. And I'm guessing I'm going to talk about a few points here. So the first is coming back to that question, what do you want for your children? What are the most important things you want for your children? And, you know, when I ask this question in workshops, pretty much every parent says a selection of the same things: happiness, well-being, safety. Um, so, and this is the thing with parenting today. If we want, many parents want these things, but the way that they parent is incongruent with the end result. So first of all, coming back to finding out of parents what it is they want for their children. The second thing is we need to start coaching parents about allowing their children to develop and be who they are, not what their parent wants them to be or thinks they should be. So in terms of how we can talk to parents about this, some of the things that I would say is, again, just coming back to those really open-ended questions. You know, why is this important to you? What do you think you'll achieve by getting your child to do these things? We're trying really hard to run workshops for parents. We're hoping to release some research soon around attitudes and beliefs and values of young people when it comes to their careers and their high level of stress. But I think, again, it's just doing our best to put it back on parents, you know, about the why. Why are you so set on somebody doing X when they want to do Y?
Right. There were some great examples. Thank you, Danielle. So just in response, Corey's just come back to us saying, yes, working with children and their parents and careers for their children. So I guess maybe he's looking for some, I guess, advice we can give parents when it comes to having discussions with their children about their career paths and
Yeah,
coaching
and maybe
in that
this is
respect.
really similar to the question that the early question was asked. And I guess if we're thinking about coaching, coaching is a goal-orientated process. So again, what is our goal with our children? You know, if our goal is to be, you know, happy, have a high level of well-being, be successful in our career, you know, what's the path that they need to do in order to get there? So yes, I mean, this is really tough because we see this all the time. Parents are absolutely dead set on their children doing X when their kids want to do Y. But a lot of that comes out of fear as well. Fear of the unknown, not understanding job prospects, not understanding what that career involves. So again, there's lots of things on Skillsroad parents can revisit. We're hoping to run some more workshops for parents. So if you have parents interested in attending workshops, because believe it or not, sometimes they're very difficult to get hold of when it comes to running these sorts of things. But yes, I would continue with the open-ended questions, and I would go back to that coaching model that I showed you earlier, the ask and tell, and start asking questions to the parents about why this is important for them. I think the other thing is some parents don't think that their children don't know what they want to do. So then it's best for them that they guide their children along the way. So often that can play a role. So making sure that the kids have a voice and the kids know what it is that they're interested in and passionate about can also help with making those better career decisions.
And I definitely think maybe our career quiz and our job fit test can help kids find some answers in terms of if they don't know specifically what they want to do, but they've got specific passions, they can consult our career quiz and through that they can, I guess, come out the end of it with some different ideas of different jobs and careers they could potentially go towards.
Yeah, and absolutely. So again, if you've got parent X saying that they want their child to go to university and be a lawyer, and the child's desperate to be a plumber, get them to do the job fit test. Get them to explore, you know, what that looks like for them, and then take that to the parent and use these coaching conversations to talk about it. So, you know, and a good coaching conversation, you know, with somebody who might, for example, want to be a plumber versus being a lawyer is, what interests you about this? Why does this motivate you? How do you see yourself working in the next 5 years? What sort of life do you want to have for yourself? What do you enjoy doing? You know, and if somebody enjoys being in different places every day, if somebody enjoys physical labor and using their hands compared to sitting at a desk, these are the sort of conversations that we want parents to have, that aha moment where they start realizing that something that they've, you know, pointed out or they've had their heart set on for their child actually is going to make their child really miserable. So using the tools is a great point to start that conversation, and then using some of those open-ended exploratory questions is a good way to continue that conversation.
Yeah, great points, Danielle. Thank you for all that. And just remember, we're shortly going to wrap up this presentation, so any last-minute questions, do feel free to send them through as we're about to come through to one of our final polls.
So thank you for all the questions so far, and thank you for attending the workshop today. I'm really keen to know what you might use as a result of this, what tools that you're interested in. So please select what you think you are most likely to use, and please provide us with any feedback about what you need as teachers. We would like to create some more lesson plans. We'll get some more coaching conversations and tip sheets for you. We've seen most people are interested in the career quiz and the job fit test, which is great. Coaching and mentoring tools as well. So we'll continue with the development of these. Any information that you require from us, any feedback, please let us know. The final point to mention is that in order to get more information about our students, we are completing our annual youth census survey. So this is a SurveyMonkey questionnaire, and we've got quite a large number of youth completing this at the moment. So we would really ask that in your time with your students, you go to the website, it's surveymonkey.com, Skillsroad Youth Census, and we'll set this out in an email to you. But please get your students to complete this youth census for us. What we're going to get, the research we'll get from this youth census is around their attitudes about careers, employment, mental health, values, friendships, school and study, their biggest stresses, their biggest concerns, but also the things that they're most hopeful about. And it's these kinds of stresses, their biggest concerns, but also the things that they're most hopeful about. And it's these kinds of pieces of research and information that can really inform what we do, but it's also great for parents and for teachers and employers. Getting back to the parents' question, every parent thinks they know their child better than anybody else. So the more research we can get in understanding common values and belief systems really helps us with informing parents. So if I can get you to fill that out, that would be absolutely amazing. You'll be sent that link. If you can give it to your students, that'd be wonderful. I'd like to thank everybody for their time today. And as I said, any questions, any comments,
Thanks,
please
everyone.
let
Thanks
us
for
know.
tuning in.
And thank you very much.